Almost everyone agrees that Marvin Harrison Jr. has the wide receiver 1 spot on lock for the 2024 NFL Draft, but who's going to be the wide receiver 2? There's a lot of good candidates, and among them is Washington's Rome Odunze, and for good reason. He's having a really good season through 10 games, currently on pace to finish with over 1,300 receiving yards and 11 touchdowns at the end of the regular season. But will that keep up in the NFL? Is he truly a talented player that's going to be a force to be reckoned with at the next level? Or is he the next one-trick pony to come out of college and disappoint in the big leagues? Today, we'll be looking at Odunze and analyzing his strengths and weaknesses to get a gauge on just how good he could be in the NFL. The Rome Odunze that we see today is the same one that used to dominate at Bishop Gorman High School in Las Vegas, Nevada. He won the Gatorade Player of the Year award in Nevada during his senior year, and he was also a track star who claimed the state title in multiple different races. He wasn't productive at the college level at first, despite being a 4-star recruit, but he has been able to develop and refine his game well enough to put up some absolutely elite numbers over the past couple of seasons. How has he been able to consistently dominate at every level of athletics that he's played at? Well, let's take a look at some of the pros about his athleticism and overall football ability. The main reason that teams are going to be attracted to Odunze in April is because he's going to test out as an elite athlete in the pre-draft process. He already has a prototypical build for an outside receiver in the NFL, standing at 6'3", 216 pounds. That's a similar build to players like Josh Gordon and Julio Jones. He was a member of something called the Freaks List before the season began, which is an annual article written by Bruce Feldman outlining the best and most freakish athletes in all of college football. He noted that this offseason, Odunze ran a 4.34 40-yard dash, a 4.19 second pro agility shuttle, and also did 37.1 inches on the vertical and 10 foot and 1 inch on the broad jump. If those numbers are accurate, Odunze will have one of the best combines that we've seen out of any receiver in the past half decade. That's going to be appealing to nearly every team in the NFL. Naturally, with his height, he also has a great wingspan and catch radius. He can bring in balls that aren't completely accurate, which many teams with an iffy quarterback situation will value. Beyond just raw athleticism, there are a few reasons to think that Odunze will be a good player in the NFL. For example, he's a surprisingly good route runner for his size. He can cut on a dime, he's fast enough to win downfield, and he's aware enough to find the soft spot in zone coverage. Usually route running is one of the weaker points for these bigger receivers, so it's very encouraging to see that he already has a solid baseline in that area. Another good attribute that he has is his hands. His length allows him to haul in passes that most other receivers can't, and aside from an occasional concentration drop here and there, he's very reliable and doesn't make many egregious errors when the ball hits him in the hands. Another thing that seems to go a little more under the radar is just how versatile he is. He gets used on jet sweeps, screens, and other various types of offensive plays, making him somewhat of a Swiss Army knife type of player, which players like Deebo Samuel, Christian McCaffrey, and Taysom Hill have made very popular in recent years. He's also a very good special teams player, and more specifically, a good punt returner. He doesn't have a lot of experience doing it, but he's very good at it, which NFL coaches will really love. One area that he used to struggle in was with contested catches, but he has shown a lot of improvement in that area so far in 2023. Now, everything I just said make him sound like a terrific prospect. So what's the problem exactly? Why are we not looking at him on the same level or better than Marvin Harrison Jr.? Why isn't he at least the runaway wide receiver 2 for the draft this year? Well, to get answers to those questions, we'll now need to dive into the negatives of his game and where he could stand to improve. First off, his acceleration and burst off the line of scrimmage feel a bit underwhelming to me. It's not bad in the grand scheme of receivers, but when you think about what his athletic testing scores are rumored to be, you don't really see that in his short area quickness. To go along with this, he has good speed, but it's not as game-breaking as you'd think. Don't get me wrong, he has the ability to win deep, but when you consider that he may run in the 4.3s of the combine, it's clear that the elite speed doesn't show up as strongly on tape. Aside from those issues, there's reasons to be concerned with his ability to get off press coverage. He only has a couple of release moves in his bag, and he often struggles to use his hands to fend off defenders who attack him at the line of scrimmage. This could lead to him struggling against bigger cornerbacks in the NFL, and could lead to him possibly struggling when lining up on the outside early on in his career. Even his own offensive coordinator alluded to that when he said, quote, "That was Rome's limiting factor, continuing to beat press coverage. That's where people are going to continue to look for answers against a big guy. I think as long as he can do that and be physical through it, he'll be even better," end quote. He also mentioned that he thinks Odunze has improved a lot in that area so far this year, and I agree. However, I still think it's one of the weaker parts of his game, and he needs to continue improving on it. He already put on some mass this offseason, so if he can continue to pack on a bit more muscle, refine his technique, and add a few more moves to his release package, he could improve his game significantly. Beyond that, he's not super dangerous after the catch. He has good speed, it can take one to the house if he has open field in front of him, but his lateral agility leaves something to be desired, and he rarely breaks tackles. He's just not as twitchy as other receivers like Deebo Samuel or Garrett Wilson, so he isn't likely to be much of a home run hitter in the NFL when there's not green grass in front of him. Those are his main issues, but he also has a few other minor issues that he'll need to address before becoming an elite NFL receiver. He had a limited route tree at Oregon, so he might not be able to be an every down receiver at first in the NFL, depending on what type of scheme he gets drafted into. He also just needs to play with more urgency and could stand to improvise better in space, but those are common issues for college receivers, and that can all be coached out of him if he gets drafted to a team with a competent coaching staff. Overall, it's safe to say that Odunze is a high ceiling player. He'll likely test out as one of the best athletes of anyone at the combine, and there's a lot of things that he already does well that will put him ahead in earning a big role in the NFL in his rookie year. His proven track record of production in college and high school make him a pretty good bet to hit that ceiling. But with that being said, it's also worth mentioning that he's far from a perfect prospect. He's got to put on some more muscle, upgrade his release package, add a bit more nuance to his route running, and figure out how to translate his off-field speed to on-field speed more efficiently. I'm giving him an early second-round grade for the draft this year as of right now. With a scouting report coming before the season is over and before the combine, there's obviously still a lot to learn about him, so take this with a grain of salt for now. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more NFL draft content, be sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications down below so you never miss a video. Until next time, goodbye.